Okay, everybody, how the heck are you? It's what is it? It's Friday evening. Again, well, it's Friday night here. Um, the markets are closed. I made sure that this video would be done after the markets are closed because last week there was a little hiccup in the there was a hiccup in the closing price, and I didn't want that to happen again today. So anyway, I'm going to do the usual. Going to start on the 4 hours, go down to the 30 minutes for each of the 6 markets, and if you can possibly, enjoy it, we'll go over the week's action and let's see what we're lining up for next week. I've already cracked open my beer. I'm halfway through it, so forgive me if I slur my words. I have 2 young kids. I don't get to drink very often, so it hits me very quickly. Alrighty, enough of the chit chat. Let's get down to action. This is Eurodollar, and if you've already read Friday night's update, then you will know that I'm in two minds about Eurodollar. Well, I have been for about ongoing for the last month maybe, but I don't see much more upside in Eurodollar either way. And in fact, I could even, given today's action, I could even be shifting back possibly towards the alternate account. Now, the alternate account views, as you can see, circled in red. The alternate account views the top as complete back here on, let's get a date on that. Back here on the 16th of February, so actually quite a while ago. So I can definitely take that point of view because, as one of you fine people pointed out to me there, was it late last week, in an email, that the let's call it the size difference, the relative size difference between this possible wave 4 and this previous wave 2 is way out of whack right now. Let's get my coloring pencils open up here, and I'm very sympathetic to that point of view, to be honest. Even though we just haven't had any serious impulsive action to the downside just yet, I am quite sympathetic to the fact that this high here could be the high, and it could be the complete rally over in wave B. And from here on, we could be headed down into oblivion. But hey, let's not get gloomy about it. The reason being, the size of wave 2 relative to the size of this possible wave 4 is, we're gone well over twice the size right now at this stage. And I have to say, I don't like that. I don't like the how would you say? I don't like the mismatch in proportion there, and the alternate account does actually count very well. It does actually account for both, let's say, the relative size of the waves, the internal waves, and the kind of momentum signatures. Say if this was wave 3 complete, then you have peak momentum right there in the center of wave 3. So that fits also with the idea that the top is in, but we still have this hanging kind of this long drawn out kind of let's say counterpoint to that being the fact that this sideways action has just gone on forever. The decline off the high can be counted as 5 waves down. There's no doubt about that. The rise off that low can be counted in 3 waves, and even the decline of the recent, say, high labeled wave 2 there on, I can't give you a date on that, but the decline off that high can be counted in 5 waves, and the rise not yet in 3 waves just yet. But we could be getting there, and this is definitely something to watch out for the week ahead. Do we trace out a 3-wave pattern to another lower high, and then do we spill down into a possible 3rd wave? If it did, it would be whoop-de-doo. It'd be great, because then we'd know where we were going. But as it stands, we're still kind of caught between 2 stools. Okay, so let's get down into the short-term chart just to see where we could stand. I have obviously again shown the alternate count there. That could be a possible wave 2 high, or a developing wave 2 in this region here. We can definitely count that as 5 waves down, contracting triangle wave 4, and a little spike into a wave 5 lower. So that either can be called a wave 1 down in the alternate count, or the end of a failure in a 4th wave. And maybe next week we'll get further clarification on this. But for the moment, I'm going to have to stick with the operating count as it stands. The rise off the low today, again, does not count well. It doesn't fit with a 3rd wave, let's say a 3rd wave rally. It's a very shallow kind of corrective move. So on Monday, we may even get further confirmation on Monday. We may even get a trigger of the alternate count on Monday. If the price rallies and breaks resistance, then we'll just have to stick with where we stand right now. However, if the price falls or breaks down again, and we challenge support, or we even break support there, 122.15, it's not that far away, really. I know it's about 200 points, but a good hour of selling could take that out easily. So we're on the fence. We know where both counts lead. The current operating count leads to a high in a complete B wave, and then we get the inevitable spill down into a long-term downtrend C wave. The alternate count already counts the wave B as complete, and we may be already stepping downwards into that beginning of that C wave. So hopefully next week we'll get further clarification. Let's just watch how the action around resistance there, 123.95 on Monday. Okay, let's move on to pound dollar. I don't want to go on for 45 minutes today like I did last week. I listened back to some of last week's video, and forgive me, it was horrendous. The screaming children really kind of capped it off nicely, didn't it? Okay, so here is the 4-hour pound dollar chart. Obviously, this wave 5 has not yet broken the resistance there, 143. I think it's 44 at the actual high, 140. Let's get an actual 143.45. So we haven't had a break of 143.45 as of yet. So this 5-wave count, while still counting well as a 5-wave pattern, if it's complete, it is still a failure of a 5th wave here. So I'm more comfortable with this than euro dollar at the moment. I've got a 1, 2, 3 peak momentum in 3, a pretty elaborate wave 4, albeit the proportion of wave 2 to wave 4 is more in line, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if we get a break on Monday or Tuesday, if we get a break of that 143.45 resistance there, that will cap it off, and then we can look firmly downwards for the future. That would complete a very large degree wave 4 correction, as within euro dollar, looking at a very large degree wave B correction, and both. I think both markets are definitely pointing to a dollar strength phase dead ahead. Okay, so that's pound dollar. We're close enough to resistance now. This minimum target was 143.45. That was the previous wave 3 high, which would be wave 3 in brown high. So a break of that would really cap it off nicely. But as it stands, we can still count it as a failed fifth wave, and there would be nothing to write home about that. It's not uncommon. Let's put it that way. Okay, so let's move on to dollar yen. Dollar yen has given us all the right signals so far. We've got a nice break of the second previous high, initially with a break of that previous wave 4 high there. I think that was 106.50, and now we've had a break of 107.29 twice this week. A first to fail break, and now a break to above. It's closed above that now, I think. Both good signals. We've had a nice uptrend in higher lows. We've had bullish moving average cross up. We have a cyclical shift in RSI and MACD to the upside, so we're hanging around the middle right now. So we could be talking about this being like the pivot point in the shift to positive momentum, rather than being stuck below the center line for so long in that downtrend. But all the technical signals, and well, even you can say that the wave signals are all pointing the same way, and that's upwards. Now let's see. We've had a nice little rally off the low. Let's see how it develops over next week. We could be, let's get down to the shorter term chart. We could be setting up a series of 1-2s. I think today's high, we had a sell down off today's high, and it didn't break resistance. So I think this wave, this second wave here in wave 2 brown, is most likely still underway, and it could be an expanded flat correction. So we have 3 waves down in A, 3 waves up in B, and a possible 5-wave pattern down into 106.50. Again, would complete wave C and would complete wave 2. At that point, then we can expect a pretty decent rally higher above resistance, possibly into the 110 area, to complete a third wave in brown here. So for Monday, I'm looking for possible sell down into 106.50 to match the previous wave A low there. For area next week, 105.64 must hold, unless we get a pretty clear alternate count going on. But this, for me, for the moment, is my best estimate as to what's happening. So if we do get that 5 waves down into 106.50, at that point, then we would be talking about a pretty serious buying opportunity, especially if we see a spike higher and a higher low. You've got a nice tight margin there, a nice relatively, let's say, low risk entry opportunity on that point. Okay, so let's watch for what happens on Monday, especially the overnight on Sunday. If we get a sell down into 106.50 with a spike higher low, then I think we're away to the races with dollar yen. Okay, it should be an interesting week anyway in dollar yen. Okay, let's get down to stocks. Despite a little break of the previous high there, which was kind of half expected last night, we have sold down pretty significantly off the high today. So we're down about into the lows. What was the low this evening? This is not the cash price, so it's around 24,250 or something like that. So we had pretty significant, probably near to 400 point sell down in the afternoon trades. So to end Friday on a down like that does suggest that Monday will open on a down, but we'll see about that. For early next week, well, sorry, let's get back to what's actually happening at the moment. We could have completed a triple, let's say a triple combination, or sorry, at least a double combination here in wave 2, this new alternate wave 2 here. We have 3 waves up in wave A, 3 waves wave B, and then a possible 3 waves in wave C, and C in pink there. So that could complete a double combination, wave 2. And given the fact that this downward sloping trend line has so far kept, and it's caused that sell-off. Well, it may not have caused a sell-off, but there's definitely a psychological barrier there that the market doesn't want to overcome. And again, it's hinting that we are kind of lurching towards an acceleration phase to the downside, especially the action of the wave 1 low here. It's granted there has been spikes higher, most notably this C wave here, which took us up 23.3, about 1,300 points in a relatively short period. Again, then afterwards it sold down. Most of that, like a good 70% of that, was sold down. And the action of that recent low there, 23,738, has not been, in any way inspiring, let's say. So this does definitely hint towards a corrective rally rather than a breakout to a new impulse wave higher. I want to see, first of all, on Monday, I want to see a break of that previous wave B, and if we do see a break of 23,738, that would be a kind of an interim key level there, and would definitely shift focus immediately downwards. So if we get a 5-wave rally, especially a break of key support, and a further 3 wave off that, well then, we are let's say lockstep in agreement with the downtrend, and it may even begin to accelerate downwards from this point. So for early next week, I want to see that recent wave 2 high hold, and I want to see further impulsive pressure to the downside. A nice break of key support would be fantastic. Is there anything to say about the 4-hour chart apart from the fact that has just been moved? No, nothing really to say. Again, the price has failed again at the 200 period moving average. Our downward sloping trend line is still very much in force, and the 1-2 pattern, the kind of sorry, that's changed there as well. The series of 1-2 patterns to the downside is as clear as day to me. So for next week, we're looking for further spikes to the downside. Again, to note, I think that the momentum MACD here is dead flat. So we've probably topped out on momentum again. All right, so let's look for early sell-off on Monday. So let us move into gold. Let's go to let's move to the 4-hour chart first and see, can we make some sense of what's happening. Okay. Gold is much like euro dollar. The current count does, well, in a kind of an opposite manner. The current count does suggest that we get a further sell down to complete wave 2, but we have had spike after spike higher, and that to me is if not a it's definitely a nudge in the bullish direction right now. We had this very brief break of resistance there at 1357 there during was that Thursday or Wednesday, and since that we're down not insignificantly off that high again. For the moment, I'm still counting a possible either 3 or 5 wave decline into a large degree wave 2 to complete this damned mess that we have got going on here. We can still count this as 3 waves down in A, possible 3 waves up in B, and a possible expanded flat wave C. I know it's a stretch. This would be a triple combination, and a triple combination by definition is horribly complex and just as hard to almost impossible to trade, and almost as hard to read as it's developing. These things tend to kind of illuminate towards the end of their let's say corrective patterns. They tend to kind of to give you like a spark of insight towards the very end, and then you tend to be able to kind of read what's happened before that. Up until that point, it's much like contracting triangles. Up until that, the almost the closing moments of that correction, you seem to be in the dark, even though you do know it's a correction. And we do know that this is a correction. There's no doubt about that, I don't think. And I think we will start to see more impulsive moves again, as with the counter trend to what will happen in the stock market as well. Okay, so let's get to I'm rambling on again here. I always try and keep these short, but they go on forever. Okay, so I think for the short term, I think we can expect, if we get a break of support, if we get a break of 1321 there, then we can expect at least 1307, possibly 1303 to complete. Again, early next week, if we get further bullish setup, if we get a break of resistance at 1366 again, then I will begin to change my mind towards a more bullish pattern, immediate bullish pattern. Okay, but either way, let it be said that this corrective phase is we're tantalizingly close to the end of this right now, and I think we should be readying ourselves to buy in pretty heavily over the next couple of weeks, I think. Okay. Oil, crude oil. This is the final chart of the day. Can we go to the 4-hour? The alternate counts would move to this high here. Isn't this exciting that I'm doing the charts? Well, I should, if I were any more of a professional, I should have this done beforehand. But hey, you know me. So for the moment, we're sticking with the idea that we are in a third wave up. Definitely the form of the rally over the last week is indicative of a third wave. We could be within a slight correction within that third wave right now, off the recent high, but I'll get into that in the short-term chart. So I think we could be seeing a 5-wave rally in wave 5 blue to complete again the higher degree 4th wave correction. In terms of the potential for a rally, in terms of the potential for a top, we could be seeing, there's indications that a top will probably occur in around the 72 area, and we're still about 500 points off that, or 450 points. So there's a ways to go, but momentum is slowing down. It's topped out already. So we're most definitely towards the upper end of the third wave right now. So let's get down into the lower degree chart to see how that's unfolding. For the moment, I have a minimum target for the third wave at 68.30, and that is where wave 1 and wave 3 reach equality. I'd like to see a break of that, obviously, to let's say to confirm the possibility of a third wave here. But there is a pretty reasonable alternate wave count developing here in the short term. So let's move in a bit closer to see if we can see that a little bit better. Off the low there, I have counted wave 1 into this high here and a very shallow wave 2. It's very possible that we have wave 1 complete here at the recent high, and we have 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and a possible 5 wave down into an expanded flat wave 2, which is not usual. Let's say second waves are not usually they're not usual. They don't usually unfold in an expanded flat. That's usually reserved for a fourth wave, which again may indicate a fourth wave in here. So there's a few viable alternative views on this particular pattern here. The fact that we haven't had any reasonable sell-offs along this rally here does kind of throw a little bit of doubt in the mix for me. Usually within a third wave, you would like to see an expansion, let's say, we'd like to see extended waveforms, and that usually happens, say, with let's say, a jolted start with progressively higher lows, and then an explosive kind of central waveform in a third, maybe a third of a third type of pattern. We haven't had that. We've just pretty much rocketed higher off the low. So it remains to be seen how this plays out. The fact that this could be developing into an expanded flat here in the alternate count does kind of offer an explanation, let's say, for that the lack of corrections here. So before I confuse everybody, I think I'll draw to a close here now. So for early next week, we should probably look for a decline in a possible alternate wave 2 here with a break of 66. If we do get a break of 66, then we could be switching to the alternate count here with a correction in either a wave 2 or a wave 4. So I suppose all shall be revealed on that front. If we break above or rally towards 68 and break, well, then it'll simply just reaffirm what's in front of you. So that is the market wrap for this week. I hope you had a great week, and I hope you have a good weekend. Godspeed to everyone, and see you on Monday. Bye-bye.